and ask for better for the weather, although at this point I'm starting to wish for a killing frost to get rid of a lot of the volunteer canola. This alfalfa field is doing pretty well now that it's been sprayed out with Corex a few weeks ago. Last week where I wasn't seeing too much activity on the dandelions, but now I'm starting to see a little bit more. So I think we will actually get mortality on these after all, seeing a little bit more leaf burn, and these leaves are starting to curl up and twist. So I think now that the sun's out, it's starting to actually work on them. And yeah, there's not a whole lot else going on this week really. Most of the harvesting is done. There's just a little bit of corn silage left to do. For the most part, the winter wheat is in and seeded. And I'm sure you don't want to see 6 minutes of me looking at winter wheat seedlings. So I think we're going to have an episode on fall burn-off products and what you can do to help prepare for next year. So let's get to it, and I'll start showing you some herbicide options for this fall yet. Alright, if you want to get rid of thistles and other perennial weeds, and this is the best time of the year to do it. So there's a few different products on the market. Most of them are dicamba based products. BSF makes Distinct, which is a group 4 and 19. It's a bit of a unique product. It's a very good fit ahead of cereals. Does a very good job killing thistles. Corteva has two good options. There's Corex group 2 and 4, which is great on Canada thistle, and Paradigm, which has got a different group 4. It's got the RLX instead of dicamba, and that is better for taking something like an alfalfa field out of production. FMC has their excellent DB878 or Intruvix product, which is basically Express plus dicamba plus AIM in the case of Intruvix, which is going to give you a really good and fast burn down on a lot of those emerged weeds right now, as well as getting good systemic activity on Canada thistle. Okay, so now we got canola stubble. This is going to be going into a cereal for sure next year. And how do we control all this volunteer canola? Well, we harrow it. That's the easiest way to manage it in the fall. Run your harrows across there. It puts the canola seed in contact with the soil. It germinates in the fall, freezes it to death during the winter. If you want to spray it out, you can use something like 2,4-D, Blackhawk, or Express. And all of those will get you really good control on emerged canola. If you want to use a residual, I highly recommend FMC's 00439 from the Precision Pack, or Express Pro if you buy it in the bottle. And that'll give you 2 weeks or more of residual control of canola at the cotyledon stage as it emerges. The other alternative, you could use Corteva's Pre-Pass, or from Adama there's Priority. Both are basically the same product. Those you want to apply when the soil temperatures are quite cold, ideally just before or at freeze up, and that'll give you 2 weeks residual control in the spring when things warm up and that canola begins to germinate. So if you've got a dirty field and you're not sure what you're going to put in there yet next year, you want to use a do-all product. So there's a few different things that'll fit the bill for this. New Farm's Blackhawk is probably the biggest one, so that's group 414. It does have 2,4-D, but not enough to carry over and damage anything. So it is a safe ahead of canola or even potatoes for the next year, and it does a very good job on things like Russian thistle and kochia. The other option would be some of the group 14 contact herbicides such as AIM or BSF's Heat. They won't really have a residual going over into the next year, and they do a pretty good job killing annual weeds, but will be weak on perennials. They rely on the glyphosate for that. Alright, now we're going to talk about our fall and winter applied granulars. So these are going to be mostly Gowan products. So the first one we're going to talk about, of course, will be Avadex, which is going to control your wild oats. And you're going to use that ahead of cereals, canola, flax, mustard, and pulses. Very good product, been around for years. The next one we're going to talk about is going to be Fortress. And Fortress is a very good kind of all-around product. It controls kochia, wild oats, millet, and many more small broadleaf weeds. And you use that ahead of cereals, flax, mustard, and canola. So pretty universal product. Is a really good fit for those fields where you have heavy wild oat and millet pressure, as well as kochia, Russian thistle, and so on and so forth. Edge is going to control your kochia, your Russian thistles, your wild oats, and more ahead of canola, peas, lentils, mustard, and chickpeas. So that is a favorite product ahead of peas and lentils for a lot of guys and has been in use for a long time. The next one we're going to talk about would be Rival. Rival is a different type of fluralin product, and I'm just talking about it as fall applied. It's going to control several of your small broadleaf weeds plus downy brome and more. And in fall applied, you can use it ahead of flax, peas, lentils, canola, and alfalfa. And of course, all these granular products should be incorporated with a harrow, preferably 24 hours within application timing. So now we come to the last group. I'm going to talk about the other residual products, your groups 14s and 15s for long-term residual control. So for fall applied, we're looking at Volterra and Fierce from New Farm and Focus from FMC. So Volterra is for use ahead of peas, lentils, soybeans, wheat, durum, and corn, and will control your fleabanes, ragweed, canola, dandelion, kochia, and more. Fierce is Volterra plus 2/3 rate of Focus, so that is for ahead of soybeans, lentils, peas, chickpeas, wheat, and corn, and will help control your bromes, kochia, lamb's quarter, canola, wild oats, buckwheat, pigweed, and more. Focus from FMC is for use ahead of lentils, soybeans, wheat, and winter wheat, and will control your foxtail, your brome, kochia, buckwheat, mustard, cleavers. This is a very good product ahead of winter wheat. It's very popular for that, especially when tank mixed with something to control Canada thistle at the same time. Now, all three of these products do require 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch of moisture in order to activate, which makes them very well suited for fall application. That means that as that snow and that frost melts in the spring, you'll have activation right away, and that'll really help to control those first couple flushes of weeds. Most of these products have, between 4 and 6 weeks of activity on those target weeds, so you can get some really good use out of these products, and I highly recommend them. And then, of course, the topic that everybody hates, programming. This is going to really affect what you decide to go with, depending on which brand or product you prefer to go with on your farm. For example, here's the Gowan program. So you buy 2 bags of Evadex, you get $160 back. Edge, you get $360, and Fortress, you get $160 back. So every company is going to have some programming, and that is going to affect your decision. So talk to your sales rep or your agronomist for more information on that. So after all that, you still can't figure out what you want to spray, talk to your agronomist, take your 4-year rotation into account, or call our office for help at 403-327-7070. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.